When is the right time to raise venture capital equity funding? It's a good question, and it's probably the most critical question. Yeah, what does startup do? It has to create a minimum viable product, then generate some revenue, reach break even, and then grow. And I think that it is not right. It is too early to raise equity funding before you grow. Right. So let's see what the rules are and how they apply. And again, I'm not saying that anything is bad, right? This is not the message. The message is that this is life and this is how things work, and you have to be just prepared. In 15 of the 16 times when they exited, they changed CEO. Okay, so what it means? So if you're a founder, if you're a CEO of the company today, and you work with a venture capitalist, the chances are that by the time when you exit or the company exits, right, is sold to a buyer, you will not be there. When you take other people's money, this money, no matter how much, will always come with strings attached. Typically, a VC investment agreement has all types of controls, and VC has so-called investor shares rather than normal kind of class of shares. Then actually that's the board who controls the company, not the founder, not the CEO. So this picture of young Steve Jobs here is from 1985, when Fortune wrote about his departure from Apple. And the way it actually worked is that the board met without Steve Jobs, and they thought, you know what, we don't need this guy anymore, and they decided to fire him. So Steve Jobs wasn't at that meeting when he was fired. So that's a board that controls the companies. It's typical that not all money is made available on day one, right? Typically, money is made available in tranches. So let's say a company raises £2 million. So the first half of that is made available on day one, and then to unlock the second half, it's provided upon meeting certain conditions. So this usually 12-month cycle. So which means that for the first 6 months you try to do whatever you want to do, and then for the next 6 months you basically are again in a fundraising cycle. That VC who has such a class of shares as ordinary shares with liquidation preference, they basically have the benefits of both, right? Of ordinary shares because they have the voting control and they have the liquidation preference. It's like a big fish and the number of small fishes. So what's crowdfunding is you kind of think that, okay, this is small fishes, right? Small individual investors, each of them invest £1,000, £5,000, some small money, so they don't have a say, really. They don't have they don't affect how you manage the company. They don't make you run monthly board meetings and so on and so on. So you want that, but in reality, the platforms, the crowdfunding platforms, they don't actually list you until you have an investor who has committed 30 to 40% of the round. What does it mean? It means that if a round is, say, £500,000, it means that you have to have someone who has already promised you to give to invest £200,000. So you need to have a big fish before you actually are allowed to start attracting small fish. So this is not really an option, because you have this big fish again who starts having their different protections. So in a way, it's the same as a venture capital.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, oftentimes the value a startup gets from a VC investments is tied to mentorship and connections, at least as much as it's tied to money. When going after a non-equity option, how do you founders make up for that loss of that particular value?
So it's a good question, right? We like to think that investors, they sometimes bring this the possibility to open doors, to make introductions. You know, you can't really make a business on a few introductions, right? So customers tell you for free everything that you need to know about your product, about your business. So if your product is not good, the customers will tell you. You need to prioritize client communication rather than communication through investors.
We're in talks with some angel investors for our startup. We have raised 0 capital so far, and this will be our first seed round. What should I be aware of going into this meeting?
Wow. Okay, so pretty much everything I talked about, right? You will not be able to negotiate those parts of the contract because they are standard. This is not something that you like drag along. This is not something you negotiate. You always have drag along. Okay, so the board can fire CEO. This is not something you negotiate. This is just how it is. Okay, so today you will have, everyone will have a honeymoon, right? So when you sign a contract, will be honeymoon. Okay, so 3 months later you find that your investor director is not great. Okay, so then they something, personal conflicts develop. Okay, so or this investor tells you to use some consultant, their consultant to do some consulting for you, and you're not happy with it, or they land their CFO. Things like that may happen. Things like that may make the relationship bad. You just have to be aware that it's not like it's not just one-time thing, right? So this relationship with your investors will develop over time, and most likely, your position will be made much worse than it is now. The main thing is, of course, when you make some like a yearly budget and you make a commitment to execute in certain way, and then to deliver some sales, and then if you don't deliver that, you have to answer. So again, it's not bad. I'm not saying this is bad, but this is just a rule of the game. You need to be prepared, and this is something that you need to know. This is what I'm walking into. This is what's going to happen. It's not bad. This is just life. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys, for your participation. Thank you, Oleg, for sharing your thoughts. So we have a special offer for those of you who want us to review your term sheets. I'm a M&A lawyer with about 10 years of experience, and despite I'm not a UK lawyer, for example, or a US lawyer, we can review it as a project manager, from project manager point of view. We can see which are the dangerous clause, which clause are not so dangerous, which is reasonable, so we can advise you on that. And basically, the other thing is we also can offer you help with finding the investors. And I can show you on the screen. It's an offer for 1 month. We will do investors pipeline for you and provide you with intro email templates and with personal introductions. And we'll give you feedback from the investors. And the special offer is that we do it for $1,000. And if you need any of your materials like pitch deck or financials or valuations to be ready, we can also help you with that, but this is of course for additional price. Thank you very much again. You will be sent the recording after the event, and everyone have a good day then.